Los Angeles, also known as the City of Angels, has a population of close to 4 million people. It is a city known for its glitz and glamour, the heartbeat of the motion picture industry, the Hollywood sign, famous stars, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Dodger Stadium, the Staples Center, and yes, we can't forget Disneyland. Los Angeles is a town rich in culture, and it's called home to many multicultural people.
In the middle of this City of Angels lies a part of the past. The oldest part of the city that once was called El Pueblo de la Reina de Los Angeles, the town of the Queen of Angels. This oldest part of Los Angeles is often referred to as a plaza, and it includes Olvera Street, which houses the oldest home of the city called the Avila Adobe House. The Avila Adobe House was built in 1818 by Don Francisco Avila and has been filled with rich history up until 1926, when the city of Los Angeles had deemed it unlivable and placed a condemned notice on the door. But the leadership, courage, and vision of one woman would change the way the city of Los Angeles would see its past. Christine Sterling, a wife and mother of two living in San Francisco, has always been mesmerized with literature, booklets featuring the Spanish-Mexican Romance era. In 1915, her husband moved the family to Hollywood to work in the motion picture industry.
In 1926, Christine Sterling was exploring historic Los Angeles when she came across the birthplace of Los Angeles, La Placita, the plaza. She wrote in her diary that she was very disappointed, for the place was forsaken and forgotten.
As she continued to walk around the plaza, she found herself on Olvera Street, an unpaved alleyway that was infested with rats and the sewage was flowing in the gutter. The buildings on Olvera Street had a great historic value as well, but one building caught her attention, and that was the old adobe building that was falling apart, and she realized that it was Don Francisco Avila's house that was built in 1818 and was the oldest building in the city of Los Angeles. On the door of the adobe was a sign stating that the house had been condemned by the city. She could not stand by and see the birthplace of the city disappear without a fight.
And she saw that this entire place was condemned, and she couldn't understand why the city was willing to destroy their history, and she didn't want that to happen.
The history of Los Angeles began when the Spanish king Carlos III wanted settlers to begin to move into the Alta California area. So he ordered California Governor Felipe de Neve to find families that were willing to make this move. Governor de Neve was able to recruit 11 families known as Los Pobladores, a total of 44 people plus 15 soldiers that were brave enough to make this 1,000-mile journey from Sonora to the lower part of California with the promise of free land. These families were of mixed race, which included mestizos, mulattoes, Indians, and Spanish. They reached their destination on September 4th, 1781, and finally settling in the area of the plaza in 1815 with a new name, El Pueblo de la Reina de Los Angeles, the town of the Queen of Angels. In March of 1926, Christine Sterling went into action by contacting Harry Chandler, the owner of the LA Times. When he met her, he immediately knew she was a young woman that was determined to implement a plan to restore Olvera Street into a Mexican marketplace where local shop owners could sell their handmade crafts while at the same time preserving the birthplace of Los Angeles. He immediately saw the vision.
Christine Sterling was able to locate the descendants of Don Francisco Avila, who were still responsible for the adobe house. The Rimpaw family was more than happy to give permission to Christine Sterling to restore the home.
She placed a sign in front of the main street where all could see that stated, "This old adobe belongs to the history of Los Angeles. It is not ours to destroy, but an entrusted heritage left to us to preserve and pass on to future generations." Her sign caught the attention of many onlookers like the Examiner, Herald Express, Daily News, and Record. The next day, her cause was front-page news, and donations came in for the restoration of the Avila Adobe House.
All materials needed for the restoration of the adobe were donated. Companies donated free labor, bricks, lumber, cement, roofing paper, and even the Women's Club donated the doors and the windows.
By 1928, the Avila Adobe House had been restored to its original glory, but it wasn't complete. Olvera Street needed to be restored as well, and Christine Sterling's vision of a romantic Spanish-Mexican marketplace needed to be implemented. However, she was still lacking financial support, and she had another great idea.
In the spring of 1928, Christine Sterling arranged a luncheon to raise money on the patio of the Avila Adobe and invited city officials, businessmen to enjoy an afternoon of food, music, and dancing in a festive, colored Mexican environment. By the end of her event, the Chief of Police, James E. Davis, had donated prison labor. Also, 5 businessmen had donated $5,000 each for the restoration project. A grand total of $30,000 was raised.
Put together a lot of resources, and for a lady back in the 20s to do that was an incredible feat. But she got people like Harry Chandler from the LA Times to give her some money. She had people donate bricks. She had the Sheriff Biscalos at the time give her prison labor to lay down the bricks here on Olvera Street.
The work on Olvera Street began immediately with Christine Sterling leading the project every step with 2 children by her side. She faced opposition from property owners who disagreed with the closing of Olvera Street because it would affect their delivery system and customers. The lawsuit went all the way to California Supreme Court and ruled in favor of closing the street, a major victory for Christine Sterling.
Christine Sterling brought in the Consuelo de Bonzo, a restaurant owner, a single mother, to open a restaurant in the Pelancoli House, the first brick building in Los Angeles that was built in 1850. La Golondrina Cafe was established and still exists today and is operated by de Bonzo's granddaughter, Vivian de Bonzo.
My name is Vivian Bonzo, and I'm the granddaughter of the founder of La Golondrina. My grandmother was invited by Christine Sterling to be the only Mexican restaurant on Olvera Street.
After 4 years of hard work, Olvera Street was finally completed and opened to the public on Easter Sunday, April 19, 1930, and it was a blaze of glory. The narrow street was filled with Mexican vendors in traditional Mexican costumes selling leatherworks, candles, pottery, and so many other items. There was music and dancing going on in a festive environment. The media called it a Mexican street of yesterday and a city of today. Christine Sterling had conquered all her obstacles by exhibiting great leadership, for she had succeeded in preserving the birthplace of Los Angeles.
Official date of opening here was April 30th, and that's when Olvera Street opened in 1930. And the opening night party was held here at the restaurant.
Christine Sterling liked to recruit single mothers and give them and their children an opportunity to start their own business on Olvera Street. One of these mothers was Carmen Coco Garcia, who, with the help of Christine Sterling, set up a small space to sell goods and flowers. Coco stayed on Olvera Street up until her death in 1991, and her business is operated by her granddaughter, Valerie Henley, today.
She found out that my grandmother was a single mom with 4 kids. So he told her, bring her down and we're going to start her. So she took a serape from somebody and took pieces of merchandise from everybody else and said, now you start. And that's how she started her business.
Christine Sterling spent the rest of her life monitoring and leading the activities of Olvera Street and was known as the mother of Olvera Street. In 1956, she moved into the Avila Adobe House, where she passed away on June 21, 1963 in her sleep.
She has left behind a legacy that not only impacted the vendors on Olvera Street and their families, but others who have come to visit this place. Today, there are approximately 2 million people that visit Olvera Street every year. She had created a Mexican-style marketplace village where people can come and enjoy shopping, eating, listening to music, dancing while in the midst of the historical buildings. People come to enjoy the many festival activities such as the Blessings of the Animals, Dia de los Muertos, Las Posadas during Christmas, and Cinco de Mayo and Mexico's independence.
All these events started on Olvera Street, and they were all a function of the merchants working together with Mrs. Sterling to bring culture, Mexican culture, alive in Los Angeles. And we still receive people from all over the world that enjoy Olvera Street. All the school children come here daily. There's classes given. She's given us a platform to continue to create and to offer and educate people through. And so I think many people appreciate it.
All of this was made possible because of the leadership and legacy of a gifted woman, Christine Sterling, who had a vision to preserve the past for future generations.